guys, what's going on? The Fat Red here, just down in the jungle, aka City Gym, trying to get my workout back on. So it's been 2 months since I've been able to train. I still can't lift anything too heavy. For those of you who don't know, I have my appendix out, and if I lift anything heavier than 10 kilos, which I'm going to disprove today, then I could actually cause myself a hernia, which isn't any good. So yeah, anyway, so I'm just going to shoot a little video for you guys just to give you a bit of an insight as to how I would go about post-hospital recovery, and also if you've had any sort of sizable layoff from the gym. 2 months is the longest layoff I've ever had in the last 8-9 years of lifting. I mean, last time I was in hospital I severed the tendon in my middle finger, and but all that meant is that I just trained legs 3 times a week. So yeah, but you know, having abdominal surgery, a little bit different. You can't really get away with anything there. So yeah, 2 months it's been. So yeah, I'm just going to go through some basic exercises today. The whole theme here is just to get my nervous system back in touch with my muscles and get stable. Yeah, stability precedes mobility. So if you can't actually stabilize a joint in a particular movement pattern, then it's going to be very hard for you to actually execute the exercise with any real intensity to stimulate growth and strength changes, whilst minimizing the risk of injury. Okay, so I'll take you through it. Probably going to be pretty boring, nothing too crazy, but educational. So stay tuned, take some notes, and if you got any questions at the end, feel free to ask. All right, guys.
All right, now first things first, we've got to make sure we get our weight belt on. Okay, so all I'm doing here, guys, is just tying a piece of string around my belly button. You'll notice that I actually inhale first, get a belly full of air, and then pull it in, and then tie it off. So the whole idea there is to make sure that if my core relaxes, it'll push into the string, and that will be my feedback to let me know that I need to brace it properly again. Now, if you have a beautiful mane like myself, shift that to the side because you're going to need to for some of the exercises. Plus, it just looks cool. And if you're going serious, guys, make sure that you look the part too. So definitely go to the effort there. So a front foot elevated split squat is first, guys. This is really going to help to stretch out your back leg's hip. And as your front foot's elevated, you'll be able to get a lot deeper than you would without it being elevated, which will allow you to get a greater range of motion around the knee. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, don't take the knee forward," but out of fear of injury. But here's the thing: you'll only injure yourself in positions that you don't have strength in. So may as well take the time now, while you're getting back into it, to actually expose yourself to those positions in a controlled fashion, so that you're bulletproof when you come back to lifting heavy stuff. So next on the agenda, snatch grip deadlifts. I actually picked up this one from Australian strength coach himself, Sebastian Oreb, after I had significantly hurt my back after deadlifting once, and I wanted to come back to it, and he suggested doing this as a means of bulletproofing my back. And I got to say, it's definitely a go-to exercise for me for whenever I'm trying to get back into heavy deadlifting or anything. So the goal here is just to work on keeping perfect spinal alignment, getting good hip hinge action, so sticking that butt out, and getting right down nice and deep as well to expose yourself to that end range. That'll make sure that you're nice and strong in the bottom position as well for when you get back to normal deadlifting. Behind the neck presses is up next. So as you can see, I didn't quite put my hair to the side enough, but anyway. And again, same concept, right? Like, commonly regarded as a pretty dangerous exercise, and I would agree because most people don't really have the shoulder mobility for this. But again, I'm just trying to expose myself to that dodgy position so I'm nice and strong when I get back to normal presses. Now, there's 2 reasons for me going boringly slow through these lifts. One is to increase intramuscular coordination as I'm lifting, so I enhance the tension in my target muscles through the lift. And the second is to give all the tiny little stabilizer muscles in my body a chance to remember what it feels like to actually stabilize. Neutral grip chin-ups with a bit of a lean away. So you'll notice here, as I lean away, I'm actually trying to pull my shoulders down away from my ears, like I'm trying to get my shoulder blades into my back pockets. And the whole idea... Fuck me, that's a cool logo. Anyway, the whole idea is to just get those lats engaged pretty hard, so build the mind-muscle connection, and get all the tiny little muscles around the shoulder girdle working properly as well. A lot of the time, they're the reasons why people sustain shoulder injuries. So here's a cable chest press. So I'm doing this because I want my shoulder blades to have freedom of movement. I don't want them to be restricted by a bench press. So you'll notice here as I go to push out, I push out further. So I'm actually trying to protract my shoulder blades, get my serratus muscles engaged as well, which are just on the the rib cage there, and they help to keep the shoulder blades stuck nice and firmly on the rib cage. But yeah, sometimes they can get neglected if you are on the bench press. So you'll notice, guys, I started with like a vertical pressing movement with the behind the neck press, and then went for a vertical pulling movement with the chin up, and then I went to a horizontal pushing movement with the cable chest press, and now I'm on to a horizontal pulling movement. And again, it's just getting that whole, man, check that logo out, eh? It's just getting that whole structural balance, you know, getting the pushing, pulling mechanics all good, getting my brain switched back on with it. Nothing too fancy, really, just getting back into it. Now onto the leg curl. You'll notice I actually take up 3 different positions. Here I'm doing a close stance, so I'm really squeezing my knees and feet together to bias the inner heads of the hamstrings. I'm also trying to, there, did the switcheroo, going back to normal stance now. I'm also trying to keep my glutes on by pushing my hips into the seat and lifting my knees off the seat slightly. And you'll see I'm also plantar flexing my feet. That's just to relax the calf muscle so that my hamstrings really have to work on the negative there. And then you'll see me put my heels together, knees go out slightly, and I'm squeezing my heels together as hard as possible, and this is just going to bias the outer head of the hamstring. So again, it's just about exposing myself to different weird areas that, you know, I wouldn't normally, so that when I get back into like heavy Romanian deadlifts, for example, all those hamstrings are kind of firing properly, if you like. Now onto the calf raises. So same concept as with the hamstrings in terms of actually trying to hit different positions. But the main reason for this, guys, if ever you've gotten bad calf DOMs, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It is not fun. Yeah, I usually like muscle soreness, but calf DOMs is just nasty. It's a whole new level of pain. So again, just changing it up, guys, because, you know, out in the real world, you're never just in one position as a machine would stick you in. So you want to expose yourself to different positions to limit the risk of injury. Onto the pull-off press now, and this is just a core exercise, a pretty badass one actually, that's challenging my ability to resist rotation. So I'm just trying to hold the cable out there while the weight is trying to pull me to my left, your right. And I'm just trying to, brace against that force so that, you know, if I do get exposed to that out in the real world or in the gym or anything, my core is able to resist and keep my spine safe. So just onto some modified planking now, guys, just trying to destabilize myself in all sorts of weird positions. Again, it's just about exposing myself to any and all sorts of forces that might threaten the safety of my spine. And yeah, I mean, you know, if you spend a lot of time on machines, you're going to develop imbalances that won't carry over into the real world, because, you know, very rarely in the real world will you actually have the ability to just sit on a machine and push something away from you. So yeah, you got to challenge yourself in all sorts of different positions to, you know, bulletproof yourself, if you like. The side plank is good for challenging side flexion, and another, look at that logo again. Another cool thing is that it'll strengthen up the abductor muscles in your glutes, which will help to strengthen you up for your squatting. So a good bit of time leverage there.
Alright guys, so that's it. As you see, pretty simple, nothing too crazy. It's all foundational, guys. Yeah, you're going to be in this for the long run. So I've had 2 months off, I've had abdominal surgery. I can't just rush into it. I've got to build the foundation strong, and that way I can build up to it over time. Alright, so keep that in mind, and we'll see you on the next vid.